What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, delarose.com. I am a #1 best-selling science fiction writer and comic creator. So if you like science fiction books or science fiction comics or superhero comics, go to my Amazon page. That link is in the description below, along with my newsletter. Love people who support the channel by checking out my work. I appreciate that. I've been getting these Eagle Moss Star Trek collections for a while, and it's been a while since I've done a review on one of these. This is the early Voyages Part 3. I actually skipped through these, so they don't actually come out in order of the series. So like Volume 11 or 10 had like the early Voyages Part 1, and I think Volume 20-something had early Voyages Part 2. They kind of skip back and forth, I guess to keep people interested. If you're interested in this, but you want the whole collection, you might just wait. I don't know. But this is Volume 30. And it completes this run of the early Voyages. Now, the early Voyages is a Captain Pike sort of saga. Before Kirk kind of comes on board the Enterprise, and it's written by Dan Abnett all the way through. And I really loved the first two volumes. They were kind of my favorite Star Trek comics I've read so far, and so I wanted to finish this before going on to the next stuff. You get a nice little recap of what's going on by the guy who curated this. Eddington co-wrote the rest of this story too. Now this one has a two-part story, or two storylines in it. There's part one, which is they go to this planet and end up. This gal ends up shot to the future by this like weird orb thing, and she ends up in a later alternate universe where Kirk has never commanded the Enterprise or anything, because I guess she disappeared, and that changes things, and basically has to get back. So Kirk is now a like renegade sort of guy, and the art's pretty good through this. This is actually solid for Star Trek art. Actually, there's a lot of action through here compared to a lot of other stuff. Scotty's one of his renegades, and they're on this renegade ship, and they have to go to this like area that's in Klingon space and try to get her back through the wormhole. And you get kind of these callbacks to Star Trek 6 with Chang. Very fun storyline. Absolutely love this. And eventually the Enterprise under Pike still comes back and helps them out basically through this. It's a 3-part storyline. I don't know that, like, the scans maybe are not my favorite quality. They're okay. Maybe it's just the 90s coloring that's like this. I don't know. But eventually she gets back, and all is well with the universe in Star Trek, classic Star Trek fashion. That's a 3-part storyline. And then at the end of this, there's a 2-part storyline, which is supposed to be a 3-part storyline, where Pike like goes to this planet, and there's like this alien weapon, and he's trying to find it, and the Klingons are trying to find it too. Who did Javier Pulido actually did the pencils on this storyline, so it's actually beautiful, really, really quality stuff all the way around here. And Pike pretends to be one of these aliens, and they kind of find out it's him, and they find out the Klingons are there, and the Klingons end up having to work together against this weapon. And there's a Klingon like rival for Pike that's set up at the beginning of this series, who comes back through this, and he actually sacrifices himself in battle. It's a fitting end for him, but this is rushed, and unfortunately it doesn't really conclude all the way, as there's some cliffhanger showing up, and then the series got canceled. Now it's really sad that like stuff like this, like people just don't pick it up and read it, because this is really high quality comics. I loved this a lot. Some of the best Star Trek comics I've read. Now, the other cool part about these collections is that each one of these in the early volumes, for the most part, there's a couple that don't have it, have an issue of the Gold Key Classic Star Trek comics. And outside of this, there's only, like, not all of them have been reprinted. They had a collection that was going, and that got canceled. So that was not completely reprinted, except for in these volumes. So this one, you get this planet where these people are shrinking, and it ends up like a Gulliver's Travels type of deal for Star Trek from the 60s. Very fun, out there, wacky sci-fi from the 60s. Gold Key Comics was really great stuff back in the day. And Scotty ends up shrinking, and they have to, figure it out before, radiation's going to kill them or whatever. And Scotty ends up fighting like germs as like a little dude. It's super fun. Great comic, and a great little coda. It's like a little palate cleanser of 60s comics right at the end of the 90s Abnett stuff. Abnett really never fails in almost anything he does. He's such a great writer. But I enjoyed this. Some of my favorite Star Trek comics, 9 out of 10 all the way around. I love these collections. All the spines match, so it forms a picture through these if you do get the whole collection. So good stuff, great Star Trek comics, and I was very thrilled to read this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.